Hey, if you've been asking yourself if you need to do a liver cleanse or a liver detox, we really need to talk. All right. So let's get into it today. I want to get nerdy about your liver and your skin for a minute. So basically, your liver is an amazing organ and it's not just sitting around waiting for your next juice cleanse to do its job. It is constantly filtering blood and neutralizing toxins through a sophisticated two-phase process. So I want to connect the dots between what your liver's doing and what's showing up on your skin or on your face. So when you eat something or your body is exposed to something and it has gone into your bloodstream, and that's not to say everything gets there because it doesn't all get to your bloodstream, but if there's something in your bloodstream, the blood will filter through the liver and it will hit what we call phase one detoxification process. So effectively, your liver needs to make that molecule of whatever it is, make it so that your body can get rid of it. So it needs to make it water soluble so that then it can be removed through either bile or urine, right? Now, little side note, if for some reason your liver cannot make this compound, whatever the compound is, cannot break it down and make it water soluble, what happens is that compound gets stored in fat tissue. Now, as a little side note, this is exactly why you want to be careful about purchasing organic fats or pastured meats, because we're mammals, like all animals do this, because all animals do this. That's just the natural process of our liver. So if you eat something, or say a chicken eats something and it can't process it, it can't get rid of that so-called toxin, it's going to store it in its fat tissue. And guess where that fat tissue shows up? When you eat the chicken, or even more concentrated when you eat an egg, which is why you want to use pastured meats. Okay, well, back on track. So that's phase one detoxification. It's something called the cytochrome P450 pathway, and it's just like the gate that your body uses to make things easier to remove. Now, there are certain herbs that can upregulate that P450 pathway, and that's what we'll be talking about. Some can also support what we call phase two detoxification. All right, so phase two is when it's now become water soluble and it can be flushed out. So it's usually again, through bile or through peeing or pooping. Not to be gross, but it's real. Okay. So when you think about it, you want to think about phase one is your liver's initial response team. It's like if you're going to be building something, that's the crew that's going to come in and build stuff. Well, there's always a mess after something's been built, right? So that's where phase two comes in. Phase two is your cleanup crew. So they come and move the stuff out. But the big thing that I want you to remember is that, yes, the liver's always working, but that in between process between phase one and phase two, when the whatever the compound is that's waiting to be processed so it can be removed, it's recirculating in the body at least one round. And the problem becomes when those particular compounds are cause cancer or can cause all kinds of illness. So that's actually what happens with alcohol. So yes, your body can excrete it, but that compound sits in the body for a little while before it can be made water soluble, so it can be taken out, and it's that in between time that can be so toxic for us. So again, those compounds can be more reactive and potentially more damaging than the original compound. So it's kind of like your liver saying, hey, hold my beer while I make this temporarily worse before making it better. And this is exactly why so-called cleansing can sometimes make you feel really awful, terrible even. You're creating these intermediary compounds faster than your body can get rid of them with phase two. Okay. I hope that makes sense. So now in phase two, some compounds are used, sulfation, glucuronidation, glutathione conjugation, which is part of where glutathione in your body can be so important because it helps your body to detox things, because it affects phase two, detoxification. So I hope that makes a little bit more sense. So what we'd like you to do then is talk about why we want to talk about supporting the supporting your liver versus cleansing your liver. Because honestly, when people talk about, oh, I'm going to do a liver cleanse, honestly, I just want to jump up and ask them, like, what exactly did you think your liver's been doing this whole time? I mean, like taking a nap, playing solitaire? Your liver doesn't need to be cleansed. It is the cleanser. What it does need is support. Now, that can mean eating better foods, not polluting it with things that are, not friendly to it, but basically consistent, gentle support rather than extreme protocols is always going to give you a better result in the long run. So let's talk about some herbs that can actually help this whole process. And these are most commonly known as bitter herbs. Now, bitter herbs do not cleanse your liver, they support its natural functions. And a couple of the most common ones that are really easy to get are dandelion, yellow dock, lavender, gentian, artichoke, some citrus. Um, so I'm sure you've heard people say, oh, if you're taking certain medication, you don't want to have grapefruit. You don't eat grapefruit. That's because, first of all, grapefruit is bitter. And what it does is it upregulates or speeds up that first detoxification process, which means, I'm going to break it all down now, that it upregulates the cytochrome P450 pathway, which means that anything that's in your body that is being naturally broken down is going to get broken down faster. And the problem with this is, same thing with herbs. The problem is that if you're on a medication that is, all of them are dosed based on your body weight and how fast your body will naturally detoxify them or make them water soluble to flush them out, then the dosage is prepared with that in mind. So let's just say you're on, I don't know, immunosuppressant drugs because you had a transplant or something, right? Well, it's calculated that you're going to have this much of that drug in your body based on normal liver detoxification processes. But if you speed that up, then you're not going to have enough of that drug in you for it to actually work. So you may actually have real problems. A lot of medications are prone to that. And that's a challenge with a lot of herbs as well. And just as a little side note, this is not medical advice. So I am not a doctor. I do not play one on TV or on YouTube. So just check with your doctor. But keeping that in mind, there are lots of bitters that can be really helpful. There's a reason why people used to have a little bit of bitters before they would eat, because the bitter taste, once it hits the roof of your mouth and the tongue, it's absorbed through the tissue in your mouth, it triggers your liver to produce more bile, which makes it easier for you to digest food across the board. And when you're eating something and it can pass through your gut and it's already, digested, by the time it gets to the large intestine where the remains, if you will, are getting absorbed into the circulatory system, you want to have it as broken down as possible. So everything is all connected, right? Healthy digestion will equal healthy skin. And why would that be? You might ask. Because the skin is an organ of elimination. So again, it's removing compounds through bile, through poop, through urine, but it can also remove it through sweat and also through the skin. In fact, occasionally people will have really itchy skin, and for no, known reason. Sometimes that's an indicator, and we've talked about that before. It's an indicator that there may be an excess of bile salts accumulating under the skin. So again, drinking more water, maintaining healthy digestion, supporting the liver is really important. So one of the real beauties of using herbs is that they've evolved alongside us to provide gentle, balanced support rather than the equivalent of, a cleanse, throwing a grenade into your detox pathways and hoping for the best, right? So I just want to say, the next time someone tries to sell you a, 7-day juice cleanse or a liver cleanse or something, oh God, ask them if they even understand the difference between upregulating normal processes or putting your liver into emergency mode. Because honestly, just don't do it. You're not dirty, okay? You're not dirty. Stop it. Um, yeah, okay. So using herbs again, dandelion is one of my favorites. It's one of the easiest. It's delicious. You can eat it as a salad green. Yes, you can pick it from your garden. You can pick it from your garden as long as you haven't been using um, pesticides or herbicides on it. You know, you can drink dandelion tea. It's usually it's the root. It's roasted. It's really easy to do, but it's just as easy to purchase. Support your local herbalist. Okay. Um, you can have that as a drink. You can try having a dandelion coffee. It's actually kind of interesting. It's not really coffee. It's just roasted dandelion drink as a coffee substitute, but it's good stuff. That's also one of the reasons that the so-called, mushroom coffees or mushroom drinks right now are actually helpful for the liver because they also upregulate and support the phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification. So just a little side note. So let's talk about how liver function can actually show up as acne. Now, here's where things can get kind of interesting. I'm a little bit gross, I know, but we're all adults here, right? Okay. So, number one, hormonal backup. So, effectively, your liver will metabolize excess hormones or leftover hormones, if you will, like estrogen and testosterone. Now, testosterone, specifically androgens or male hormones, are responsible for controlling the amount of sebum production in your skin. So the sebaceous glands in your skin actually respond to testosterone. And when there's extra testosterone, for whatever reason, whether it's your monthly cycle or you're a teenager and you're having a massive growth spurt or you're exercising too much or whatever, you're under a lot of stress, it will produce more oil. And if you've watched some of my other videos, you understand that oil and oil production is one of the big driving factors in the process of acne. Now, with estrogen, it's again because the liver, you can get that backup of estrogen and testosterone and or some of the estrogens that we're exposed to are actually from our environment and they are naturally occurring, mind you. Some of them are, in our foods, phytoestrogens, things like soy and lots of plant material. But some of them are unnatural as well. Sometimes we do get some from like plastics. Yeah, I won't go there. That's a whole nother animal. Oh my God. But basically, your liver has to process all of that stuff. Okay. Now, excess estrogen can also show up with, hormonal type acne. It can just hyperstimulate again a little bit of the oil and it can show up in very specific places. So also when your phase 2 pathways are kind of sluggish, those toxins get dumped back into circulation. So it has to just kind of go through until your body has enough phase 2 components to break them down, to flush them out. Okay. So again, it's both. It's like, yes, one, you got to break it down. And then once it's made water soluble, then it goes to, phase 2 and then it can get flushed out, but it may not be able to get that way. Or if it takes a long time to go through phase 1, it's recirculating here in the middle before it can be put away. Okay. So, a little bit about the gut and the skin liver axis. So poor liver function. Again, you're not dirty, but if it's overwhelmed for whatever reason, doesn't it make sense that you want to stop overwhelming it? And the things that overwhelm it, of course, are, really processed foods, fake foods, artificial colors, artificial flavors. I'm not saying that those things are bad, but in excess, they can be problematic. I mean, really, just eat real food, right? JERF, just eat real food. So when leftovers, if you will, waste, if it's not eliminated by the gut because it hasn't been broken down thoroughly by your liver, then compounds that should have exited your body can get sort of reabsorbed. Not completely. That has a lot to do with your intestinal permeability, and that's when we get into things like gluten and zonulin and whether or not your body is has tight junctions at in your gut lining, and right on the other side of the gut lining where the immune system kicks in. But whatever we can do to support that process and make sure everything's working properly is really good. So again, these kind of herbs can be really helpful. They will help your skin indirectly, right? Um, so incorporate some dandelion. Like I said, tea, you can do it as a tincture. I have a lovely tincture that I use. Honestly, a dropper full if my stomach's feeling upset. And let's be real, we all do sometimes, right? If my stomach's feeling upset, I'll just take a full dropper of dandelion and I feel better. I use the whole plant, so it's both the root and the leaves and the flowers, which is great. Personally, I think the whole plants work better than extracts, but that's just me. Um, and you can incorporate this as a regular practice, like right before you eat something, maybe 15 minutes or so, take some bitters. You probably heard of bitters when you're talking about making cocktails and stuff. So yes, Angostura bitters, which are sort of the classic bitters that we put into drinks. I know I can't stand Angostura bitters, but they're just nasty. I prefer a full plant. um, but you can do these things. And honestly, there are wonderful herbalists that have created the most delicious, compounds, detox elixirs, if you will. Um, Urban Moonshine is spelled Urban. Urban Moonshine makes, they're up in Maine, I believe, Maine or Vermont, but they're wonderful. They make, oh my God, delicious, really, really effective bitters. And they've mixed them into an elixir that has a little bit of maple syrup. So they're not super, super bitter. So it's a really nice way to start, just supporting your natural digestion and also supporting your skin. So this is going to be better than any cleanse that you do. And back to the whole cleansing thing. Honestly, if you've heard that, you're just going to do olive oil and lemon juice cleanse because, oh, it's the classic cleanse. Ay, ay, ay. It's not doing anything. It's literally, you are making soap. You are literally making soap in your body. People say, oh, I did, the whatever, half a cup of lemon juice and a half a cup of olive oil, and they drank it down. Honestly, I don't know how you could even get it in your body. That's disgusting. And then they're like, but I passed all these stones. I saw them and look, I picked them out. Gross. First of all, they're not stones. You've made little soap bubbles. For real. I'm not kidding. You can make them in a glass. They're not being made in they're just, you're not passing stones, all right? You're not cleaning your liver. You're not cleaning your gallbladder. You're not doing a flush. That doesn't work. Just stop it. Don't do it. Support your liver with natural compounds that your body recognizes, and stop supporting these people who want to tell you that you're dirty and you're filthy, because it's just a heroic medicine. It's like, oh, we have all the answers. Well, no, actually, you don't. I hope you found this helpful. I'm happy to answer more questions. I know I go off on track, but if you like what you saw, please, give us a little thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe. I really, really appreciate it.